We are live on the Virtual Grip Network, and it's time to crank some Alan Jackson because we're in Nashville for Week 14 of the OBRL YesterYear Racing Cup Series. YesterYear, where past meets present. I'm Zach Chapman, a.k.a. Shaggy, along with my partner in crime, John Hine. We're lucky enough to have the best, the heartbeat of VGN, bringing us all the sights and sounds, the one and only Ryan Seneker. Last week, the gang rolled into the Charlotte Motor Speedway for the halfway point of the season, and we were treated to an absolute heart-stopper that came down to the wire. Defending champion Josh Robinson thought he had it under wraps with the white flag in the air as he had led the majority of the second half of the race. Dwayne MacArthur, though, had a different ending on his mind. Dwayne came into the evening the winner of the previous two, and he wanted nothing more than that three-peat. And he muscled his way by Josh to win that third in a row. While some drivers may try and brush it off, the truth is the pressure is on. The rest of the league is well aware of who has momentum in their corner, but the question is the gang willing to work together to try to take down Goliath? Find out as we head into the Nashville Superspeedway and kick off the second half of the season. One of the more unique tracks the drivers will face this season, as John, it's not your typical super speedway. Drivers will have to monitor the wear on their tires along with using the draft to their advantage. And that being said, John, super speedway, you think hammered down, but what is it about Nashville that makes this place so unique?
Well, we need to look no further than the surface they're racing on. Other than Dover, Bristol, you don't see a lot of surfaces like this. It is concrete, folks. It's a nice white surface there, and guess what? That changes the grip level of this car, which changes the characteristics. So these guys have gotten used to, what their car will do, where the limits of their car. Well, you can throw all that out the window here because it all changes up with that surface. The track itself, the layout, though, is also pretty unique. Both corners present different challenges. You spend a lot of time in hit challenges challenging both these corners. You really have to be, more in the hands of a driver. You got to lift, you back your corners up, get good runs through the corners, make sure you're carrying enough speed out of the corners. So these guys are constantly going to be battling the track as well as each other to try to fight for that win here tonight.
Yeah, you talk about battling the track, John. I think something interesting about this, we got the real long straightaways. Do you think guys will maybe duck down, try to use that apron tonight? I do see it in solid yellow. So are we even allowed to do that here at the Nashville Speedway?
We are, and I think you'll see it along the front stretch here, but I think you use it sparingly. I mean, that's kind of one of those things, it's down there. You know what, if I'm behind the wheel, am I going to try to get aggressive and make moves being down there? Or especially early on in the race? Probably not. But, later the race goes, you know what? You get 10 laps from the end, a restart, something like that. Sometimes it might look to be pretty tempting to go down there. And breaking news real quick, Zach, looking over here, the last 3 weeks winner here, Dwayne MacArthur had manually disconnected. Now he's reconnected. So the 83 car may have some, we'll call it engine issues, huh? We saw that last week with somebody, I believe.
Yeah, hopefully you can get that figured out. We're hoping maybe it's a mic. I know sometimes I have some audio problems, then I back out and, it all clears itself. But we'll have to see. Yep. And I'm putting our producer on the spot here because I forgot to ask him if he had it this week. Do we have our points graphic? Do you have time to throw that up, Ryan? Of course he does. And look at that. You saw there Dwayne MacArthur, 4 wins at the top of the charts. But John, Luke Lane, created a bit of a gap last week. He's sitting there 16th, not necessarily where you want to be, but he's got a 30-point gap there to Alan Wanamaker. You like it?
No, I think things can change in a heartbeat. An ill-time caution, a pit road issue, a lot of different things. There's still a lot of racing left. I know we're down in the second half of the regular season now, but 30-point swing isn't much of anything, if you have trouble. Luke's just going to have to focus on what's in front of him, do what he's done all year, and kind of let the points take care of themselves. What Luke, I think, really needs to worry about is making sure he's getting good finishes, but the wild card in that scenario is someone below him getting a win and bumping him out, then that 30-point cushion means nothing. A 100-point cushion in that position means nothing if one of those guys below him get a win.
Yeah, and realistically, not that we want to wish that, but there's likely to be some new winners. I do kind of wish for that. I mean, we got 13 races to go, counting tonight, so plenty of time.
Different tracks, Zach. We've got a road course coming up. Maybe one of those guys towards the back or really good on road courses. We've got short tracks. We've got all kinds of different venues. So guess what? There's going to be opportunity.
As we get ready here, we'll go ahead. We'll make the points go away. I believe qualifying's come to a close, and we're set to take a look here at the starting grid. And, well, we shouldn't be too surprised by this front row here when it pops up, because this is a common one. Daniel Hill, the trash man, inside on the pole. To the high side, Lloyd Moore.
Inside of the next row, going to be a guy to watch tonight. It's going to be the number 11, Tom Ogle, and next to him will be Chris Bates.
Defending champion Josh Robinson lines up on the inside of row 3. To the outside, Patrick Martindale.
Starting 7th is a guy who really needs a break here, and thanks to Lady Luck to get on his side. That's a 78 of Courtney Nelson, and to his outside, Brian Lynch.
Can he win for the 5th time this year? 4th time in a row. Dwayne MacArthur starts to the inside of row 5. To the outside, Bob Fellenbaum.
And we should mention Dwayne MacArthur is our guest this week on the VGN Weekly Podcast, so tune in to see that on Tuesday. Starting 11th is the number 12 of Andy Thomas, and to his outside, Victor Lane. Yeah,
right behind his Pops there on the inside. Luke Lane lines up on the inside of row 7. To the top shelf, Alan Wanamaker.
And that's an interesting row, Zach, because you got 16th and 17th right there in the points right next to each other. So that'll be definitely a row to watch. Fred Wolford of the 3rd will start 15th, and Bill Martin 16th.
Robert Gorisco lines up on the inside of row 9. To the outside, James Hislop.
Jerry Isaacs is starting 19th, and rounding out your top 20, Tommy Amassi.
Sean Foltz, no qualifying effort this week. Not sure, John, if he had a penalty, but he's going to start off on the inside of row 11. And then on the outside, Ken Allen. Man, what a row there, too. Wow, they're going to be coming through the field.
Yeah, and then you've got your Daytona winner, Mark Fish. Next to him will be Gavin Adams in the 23rd, 24th.
Then rounding out the field, row 13 to the inside, Torrance Childs. To the top shelf, Nicholas Self, as we get ready to go racing here at the Nashville.
Zach, we did have 2 EOLs. You spoke about it. Gavin Adams was given an EOL, and so was Torrance Childs.
Okay, well, 26 drivers here tonight. We've seen the way, John, this season. They've had a lot of long green flag runs, and, we can talk about it more, but this is not a place I want to do a green flag pit stop on. It is tricky getting out of 4.
Yeah, and that's something where you might want to actually try an overcut, hoping for a caution in a pit cycle. But these guys are buckled in. The pace car is about to duck off here, Zach.
Yeah, the green flag's high here at the Nashville Superspeedway, and it's ready to fly. We got a beautiful sunset. Cars ready to roll. The trash man, Daniel Hill, drops the hammer. We're underway. 170 laps to play. Good jump there for, I believe that is the 11 of Tom Ogle. Yeah, it is. Okay, John, new paint job. Man, I almost didn't.
Just when we get used to him. Yeah, good jump for Ogle there. You know what? I've heard a couple people even today on that interview with MacArthur. He called them the concrete kids. So that being the case, he definitely is showing that reputation's well deserved.
Well, you know who I love with that nickname, Anthony Macri, the local boys. That's bringing out my dirt, but man, they're battling back behind you. That's the 48 Bob Fellenbaum. That right as Ryan goes to him perfect. He got bounced up and, man, did a good job of keeping himself out of that outside wall. John, not that you want to say a set of corners is harder than the other, but I think coming out of 4, you maybe got a little more room. The track looks a little wider, but coming off of 2, that's a tough place to save a mistake.
Yeah, you got the dogleg down the front stretch, so the track does kind of go away a little bit. It's definitely a wider entry. You can let the car go out to the wall a lot easier. Backstretch, nope, that wall comes at you as you're coming out of the corner, and not only does that happen, but it causes the track to really narrow up. for these drivers. So you've got to really pay attention to what's going on, not just right in front of you, but 3, 4, 5 cars ahead of you.
A couple cars starting to utilize that outside a little bit. John, is this something you anticipated? Maybe guys going to that outside, saving a little bit of tire, or you think we'll get a bottom dominant track here coming to the end of the race?
I think you look for tonight. Historically, you might look. This might end up being a bottom groove kind of track, but iRacing's made some adjustments to surface models and tire models and all that kind of good stuff. You get enough guys going up there, maybe you can work a second lane in, but I think it's going to be a little difficult.
See, we're riding on board there with the guy in 16th position in points, Luke Lane. Running pretty good so far, and he's one of those guys. He's got that Code Red machine locked down to the inside. As you see battles, I believe that's Dave Matz. That is Dave Matson on that, or Eddie Thomas. Excuse me, both running those similar blue-colored cars. And Eddie that looked like one of those, John, where it's early in the race. I'm not going to race you too hard here.
Yeah, and you know what, Lane, he's a young kid, Zach, and he's really showing himself to do very well here running these cars. But you know what? I saw him running a dirt car with me Friday night in a late model, and you know what that kid was doing? It took him a little bit to get used to it, but he's getting there. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's Luke Allen, not Luke. That's twice now I've messed those two guys' names up.
But, well, hey, they're not going to mess up your name anytime soon, John. You've got a single name, but we're battling for the lead here. No surprise, Tom Ogle, that's a guy who we've seen sniffing for the lead almost every event. Now, clearly not the most wins this season, but if you don't go into a racetrack thinking Tom Ogle stands a chance, you don't know anything about this series.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I'm going to chalk that name thing up to a senior moment. I'm 50 plus now, so I think I can have those from time to time and use that as a legit excuse.
Hey, man, you got to use them when you got them. That's the advantage of being older now. You see there the 78 of Courtney Nelson. He's trying to work up on defending champion. And, does he want to maybe get by Josh Robinson, or is his hand kind of being forced here, John? Because I mentioned that guy behind him right now, he's won 3 in a row, and, man, he is on a charging horse.
Yeah, but Josh, the thing about him, how many times did we see him fall back a little bit at the beginning of a run? Josh is very good at taking care of his stuff and then waiting till later in the run and coming back through the field. So I don't know if I'm almost bet that 23 machine hasn't shown all his cards yet.
And then you saw Tom Ogle. He just got the pass done, and then the trash man maybe stepping on the accelerator a little too early. He almost bounced it off the wall coming out of 2, had to back off. And now Chris Bates moves himself into the top 3 as you see Crisco working under, I believe that's Jerry Isaacs in the 51. It is. Now, Jerry's another one. I love that paint, Jerry. But sometimes you run the Cartoon Network scheme. Sometimes you go back to the white. I'm telling you, I want to say their name instinctively, but I rely on the paint jobs. I got to get better. Oh, it's Crisco. Oh, man, let's go back. Oh, man, he drove in deep. That was a good save there for Alan Wanamaker. He had his hand, got a big bump in the center of 3 and 4, and now we're watching MacArthur take a peek on the inside of Josh Robinson. Josh, and this is where, defending champion in front of that name, John, he's not going to just give you that pass. He is going to make you use up those tires if you want to go by, and I'm going to come back to you later. That's the attitude.
Yeah, that's definitely Josh's attitude, and, when you've won 3 in a row, defending champion in front of you doesn't matter. You know what? You're the man right now until someone knocks you off that hill.
Yeah, but if let's be honest, you can't tell MacArthur that. He's still going to be driving with that chip on his shoulder. I mean, you've got to find a way to be that underdog, right, John, and help motivate you.
Yeah, it was fun talking to him today on the podcast, and what a cool guy, and Winnipeg, Canada driver, so definitely gives our field a little bit of an international flavor, I guess, so to speak. But yeah, nice guy, and when you watch it, it'll be tough to not root for him. Let's put it that way.
Watching the Daytona 500 winner there, Mark Fish, and Tom Embassy drove around him on the top shelf, but Mark kind of running around in the back right now, hanging out in the blackjack spot. So, John, he's one of those guys, just make sure I stay in the draft. I think we're going to have a long green flag run. Oh, man, another battle for the lead here. Tom Ogle trying to do it one more time, but the trash man coming firm on the high side. And, man, Daniel Hill's so good upstairs coming off of 2.
Yeah, and that's our first real look at somebody making a pass up on the top side there, watching the top side dominance. So, you asked the question a little bit earlier, and, I guess if you're willing to go out there and hang it out, it looks like maybe at least early on in the run, I'll question if you can do that later in the run after your tires have given up a little bit. But we're 14, 15 laps in now, and you still got some good on your tires to maybe get away with that.
Obviously, John, 170 laps, long time. I'm thinking I went out there and did a test. I believe I was close to 70 laps for a tank of fuel, so you got to think they're going to stop twice. Now, you may be right side tires, any of those stops, or do you need 4 here? Is it a
I would take 4. If you get the long green flag run, I'd take 4.
Definitely makes sense here. I think maybe some drivers, if we get a caution here early, you might see experiment with 2 and gas just to get within that. Got to stop one more time, but yeah, I think I'm with you. You're going to lose too much on the race.
Oh, up front there. That was a nice job there. The Courtney Nelson and Chris Bates. Chris Bates got really out of shape going into turn 3 there, and that was a great example of guys giving other guys room to kind of catch a car, rather than try to squirt by and actually bring out a yellow, which probably would have happened there.
Yeah, and you got to think that's a big help there for the 83 of MacArthur. He's at the back of that front pack. That's not what he wanted to see, but here's Crisco trying to slick his way by the boss man. Victor Lane drives it in pretty good. Victor maybe thinking about a counter, but Crisco keeps it right on the bottom of their hole. Then he floats up, kisses that outside wall. John, you don't want to be doing that on lap 18.
No, you don't. You probably can get away with that maybe 2, maybe 3 times through the course of the race. After that, you risk damage, and maybe it might still be minor, but when these guys, if you look at the field, if you're running a tenth of a second slower a lap because of damage, you're going to lose 4 or 5 spots over the long run.
Bill Martin, you see him trying to take advantage of that high side as he tries to get to the outside of the 51 of Jerry Isaacs. Can't do it that time, but John, I can't tell. I feel
battle for the lead.
Oh, we're battling for the lead again, John. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ogle keeps doing the outside, and it seems like Dan, when Ogle peaks down there, Dan moves up just a lane, and it's almost like he invites him, but Tom just can't get it done coming out of these corners here. Tom Ogle's got a good run going down the front stretch here.
Yeah, and I think you used the perfect word there, invite. I think he is almost inviting him to do that. Go down there, try to make it work. Just drive in there deep, use up those right sides. I'll beat you, corner exit. And Daniel doing a wonderful job here pacing this race. The first 20 laps, I don't know if they could have gone much more according to plan here for the 7.
No, and the way this track lays out, if you watch these guys, they come out right up against the wall. If you got someone to your outside, you're having to get out of the throttle, which kills your momentum down the front or back stretch. You have to be able to let that car go out to the wall to maximize your speed coming out of the corner. I think there's a method to Hill's madness there, staying to that outside, not letting him wash out to the wall and complete a pass.
Oh, did you see this track kind of preaching and awarding patience here, John? Drivers just single file. You just got to be patient when the guy in front of you maybe makes a mistake. There, as you see, MacArthur maybe going to get it done here. He does. I believe that's Lloyd Moore. It is in the 00. That's another one, man. And this is no shot on anybody in here, John, because they're all way better than me. And I think we've seen this out of all of them, but that's what sets this league apart. The patience. No need to go win the race. Well, there they go. They're rubbing Crisco and the boss man, Victor Lane. That was the 51 there. That was Sean Foltz. And actually, wasn't that Victor there, Ryan? He's telling me Luke, but I believe it was that black and pink car. They made a little contact there. 2 shots behind. Yeah, so the lanes That was not a good lap. They were both getting roughed up there on lap 22, John.
Yeah, and we got one way high coming through 3 and 4 there. Looks like that might be Bates.
Yeah, and John, not that we can tell for sure, but I mean, he had already gotten a little loose once. Remember the contact earlier, and we had seen him come through the field so fast in the early stages. Did he maybe go a little too hard those first 10 laps?
Yeah, and the one thing I've noticed about this particular tire model for these cars, how you treat them that first 10, 15, even 20 laps. If you really take care of them, you're going to have such an advantage at the end of a run. If you abuse them and the green flag drops and you run qualifying laps your first 5, 10 laps, boy, you are really going to suffer at the end of that run. But hey, on the positive side, the Bass Pro car is now in the top 5, up to 4th. So anytime I can give Bass Pro a shot out, I'm going to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Dwayne's done yet. I bet you the rest of the field hopes and wishes he was done, but I don't know if Dwayne's done yet. It's lots and lots of racing to go. Here's watching Sean Foltz there in the 59 machine. One of the guys who started in the back, didn't qualify, up a slow 4 spots. Just going to pace himself, John. We've only completed 25. We're on lap 26. Long way to go, and this is one of those tracks that I think, drivers. This is a repetitive racetrack. They're going to feel it. They've got to find a way to stay focused.
Yeah, 100%. And this is a track where when I say this, you usually think of a place like Indy or Darlington where you really race the track. You focus on hitting your marks. You focus on the track as much as you do your other competitors at those tracks. Well, this track, I think, really does fall in that same mindset. I think you really have to race the track here to go fast.
Look at Luke Lane here taking a peek under Crisco. Can he find a way to get that code red machine willed on by? We got, I believe that's Sean Foltz there in the 15, or no, that is Isaac's right behind there. And now, what do you do here, John, if you're Isaac's? Clearly you're quick too, but so is Luke. And I feel like when you go up high, if you're not giving Luke any drafting help, you're kind of just slowing both of you up, but now he takes a peek to the outside.
What a run to the outside by Isaacs. He's going to complete this pass, Zach.
Yeah, he is. That was a big shot. Not sure if Luke maybe got a little loose in the center or if he just felt like, hey, maybe I can follow you on through, Jerry, but he was getting no help, and that's a big-time move there for the 51. Moved himself up into 12 here as we cross the stripe. 29 in the books.
Yeah, that was a big boy move. And now Isaac's, he had to check up a little bit here. But, yeah, big boy move for early on in the race. And, if you get opportunities, you should take them early on if you don't have to use a whole lot of capital up in your tires. I mean, we are working lap 29, and we've got a long way to go here. So, that risk-reward, you want to manage that a lot at this point in time of the race, though.
Now, John, I've been wrong plenty of times before, so everyone out there, and John included, don't hold me to that. But when I did my test run, like I said, I was getting close to 70 laps. So you'd run the full 70, we'll go 70, you pit again, you can go to lap 140. What that means to me is, John, we've got about a 30-lap run left after 2 stops. Do you think guys short pit at all tonight now, since we have to 2-stop this thing anyway? Because, that leaves a lot of room. You kind of got 40 laps to think about short pit.
Yeah, I don't know that I would here. This has really got a little a look of maybe a caution-free race. We've seen some earlier in the year. I would not pit if with the race being this clean. The field is smaller. I think we have 26, 28 cars on the grid. So we don't have a big field like what we normally have. I would stay out there because the last thing you want to do is short pit and then a caution fall because you will lose a lap here. So I think this is a track where you run it dry.
Yeah, well, we're on lap 32 right now, and as you see there, the guys towards the back coming across. 26th position, 16 seconds off your leader. That's about half a racetrack, John. So, I mean, if we run a full fuel run, we're going to see guys getting put a lap down. And, man, old tires putting cars a lap down. My, oh, my, what a race we're in for.
Yeah, and the other thing too, we're talking about different strategies. One thing that has to factor into that short pit that we were talking about is getting on the pit road here. This is one of the higher levels of difficulty of getting on pit road, and you do it under green flag conditions. I would say here there's a highly likelihood a caution is going to come out during a pit cycle tonight.
Yeah,
higher than normal average. How's that?
And that is no shot at the drivers, but
no, not at all.
As we see guys dive, well, maybe we'll get an in-car cam, but that banking, it's not as bad, I don't want to say, as Talladega or Daytona, John, but when you're turning off at turn 4, oh, man, it jerks the car, and you really, really feel it here as we're riding on board with Isaacs. We get a little view of it here as they enter 3, but he's battling, man. Crisco working that inside, but Jerry's got the run up top, John.
Yeah, I think Jerry's found something on the top side around here, so it's good to see that, and hopefully a few more drivers go up there and try that. We saw the number 1 car there, but up for the lead, make that top side really, really work. Oh, this time it doesn't. Isaacs is going to give up a spot, I think he went a little too far up the track.
No, and I mean, how much, now obviously Jerry doesn't want to be the only one doing it, but you get a couple cars helping him, I mean, that'll help rubber that thing up, and we may really expand the racetrack. So Jerry's out there, he's doing the Lord's work right now, all by himself going forward here.
Yeah, and the other thing that fascinates me is, because I'm old school, you used not to do this, but these guys, once again, Zach, they're shifting in the corners, both ends of the track too.
And so that's another thing I didn't even think. So now some of the guys that are shifting, my fuel may be a little bit off, but they may not be able to go as long. That's what we saw at Charlotte.
Turning the higher IPMs. Looks like guys are shifting down to 4th, going into turn, down to turn 3, going back into 5th down the front stretch. Now I've hopped in a couple of cars, and some guys are leaving it in 4th all the way down the back stretch.
Interesting. Here's Josh Robinson making it look easy so far on Chris Bates. Bates, I thought he was maybe going to fight back, but remember, we saw that 81 a couple laps ago slipping and sliding here, and well, we just saw Luke Lane there, and he was on the outside of Wanamaker. Wanamaker, right? Correct? Yep. Alan Wanamaker. Man, I don't think that thing's been black and red all season. If it has, my apologies, Alan. Maybe it's special paint. Okay. As my producer's telling me it has been, so I had a soup moment. It's okay.
Yeah, but you're 50 like us, so you don't get the senior moment. You can't play that card.
There you go. As you see on the top of that screen, man, I gave Luke the commentator's curse there, said he was working that outside. Now it looked like he picked the throttle up a little too early. Had the feather off coming out of 4, and that was all his slot needed. He made the pass look easy.
Zach, remember what I said about that top side? I thought, okay, hey, looks like that's going to work early on in a run, but as the tires get worn, I was actually thinking that's really not going to work out as well. And that's kind of what I'm seeing a little bit, especially down in 1 and 2. It looks like that second lane in 3 and 4, that still looks somewhat viable, but you got to be real careful with the throttle down there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you are working it right now. And speaking of working it, Tom Ogle, man, he is so patient. He's brought this lead back down to 0.2 of a second. He is right there. Man, John, I've always found it so hard to be that close and, not try to barge in, make the pass. But that's why Tom's one of the guys there battling for the points.
Yeah, sometimes not making the pass, even when there might appear to be an opportunity, isn't always the right move, and that is a tough thing to learn from the seat. When to do it, when not to do it. We're working lap 41. You know what? There's no reason to put you or another driver in a bad spot this early in the race. Now, I'm going to bet that 11 car will not be as patient if, let's say, we were running lap 165. I think you'd see a whole different dynamic between these two on the track.
No, and something interesting here, Ryan. Stay on Tom. Bring up that lap time for me. And we'll see Courtney Nelson. He's a little bit quicker than these two guys in front these last couple laps. Does Tom maybe sense that car getting a little closer in the mirror and have to do something here? Because, John, we always talk about it's so hard to pass when you got a guy right on your bumper, because then he's trying to set you up while you're trying to get the pass done.
It is, but we're 40 laps into the run. Your tires are now a factor. If you look at the lap times, these guys were qualifying, at least up front there. Ogle ran a 29.5 for his qualifying lap. His last lap was a 37. So, you know what? That's almost, over a second slower already. And, we still got 20, maybe 25, maybe even 30 laps left in this run here. So this is where if you took care of your tires, boy, you're going to make up a lot of ground right in this time frame in a run.
Yeah, and, you're seeing that right there with Courtney Nelson. I mean, those guys are getting bigger and bigger every lap. And, man, you feel like $1 million driving that 78 right now. All the discipline paid off, and this is where he's going to make his money. But, John, one mistake, one little slip and slide, and that'll give it all back.
Yeah, and, and that's probably, at least it would be if I was in that 78 car, because Courtney Nelson has been fast all season. But I'm going to tell you, he's had probably the worst luck of anybody in the field, too, this season. So, you wait for Lady Luck to get a better view of who you are as a driver, maybe be a little nicer to you. But when she's been on your back a little bit, it stays in your mind for sure.
See, Wanamaker there got the pass done. His lap trying to follow. And now we got the 9 of Brian Lynch working under the 81 of Chris Bates. And Brian Lynch, man, that's one, I'll tell you, that's another one. I do not recognize that old smoky paint job. But, boy, that thing is good.
Yeah, that's a good moonshine, too. But, hey, you know what? Who did we see falling back through the field earlier? That 23 car. We speculated that he's taking care of his stuff. Got passed by MacArthur. Well, you're talking about Courtney closing in on the front, too. But if you look behind Courtney, that 23 car is coming.
Yeah, Josh Robinson, let's see. Last time by, leader ran a 30.65. Ogle 6.8. Your man, Josh Robinson, 30.43. 2 tenths, John.
He hasn't fallen as much as everybody else.
No, and even behind him, Dwayne MacArthur, really, he is the slowest out of the top 5 at 30.7. Not too much off the pace, but when you're kind of looking at that front 4 getting to race in front of you, man, Dwayne, I know he's got momentum right now, John, but you really do. You feel helpless. You just can't get to those guys.
You do, and what's ironic about that is, again, I hate to go back to the conversation I had with him earlier for the podcast, but he actually said this about Josh, about how well he takes care of his stuff, and earlier he just whizzed around him, and Josh has swung the pendulum back the other way here, so, Courtney and the rest of these guys are going to have their hands full now, the last part of this run.
Yeah, now obviously, you don't want that last run to be too long, but if we cut this into thirds, what are we going to say, about 56 laps a run? So maybe not too far away from our first set of pit stops if we're trying to go that way about it. And, I mean, some guys who are struggling on tires, John, you got to think. I mean, that's got to be the mentality.
Yeah, you'd think, but like I said, the difficulty of getting on pit road here, I think running long, running them as far as what you possibly can is the route to go.
There we go.
Yeah, you got one taker.
Here's one. Yeah, Isaacson. He was one of the guys kind of struggling.
And he's going to lose a lap, too. So now he's going to have to hold his breath for a few laps until this thing cycles through now.
Yeah, now, that's kind of what I wanted to ask, John. You said it cycles through. Now,
battle for second.
Yeah, it's a 3-car battle for second. But how much does Isaacs force these guys into pitting sooner?
I honestly don't know. Everybody will be aware that Isaac's in there, and I think if you got a plan, work your plan. When you venture off your plan is where maybe things go south. If you've got a plan, you know what you want to do, stick to it. I mean, that's what my advice would be.
Now, wow, Josh Robinson, you saw Gabe Nelson, a huge bump down the backstretch. Tom maybe overdrove a little bit into 3, and man, he lost both those spots. As you see, the guys who took care of their sneakers marching on by. We got the top 3 within a second of each other, and man, I'm anxious to see here if Tom Ogle can't keep pace with these top 3 here. Does he maybe dive off into pit road in a couple of laps? It's going to be somebody who I want to keep my eye on. But Tom looks like he's got plenty left in the tank. He's going to hang around.
Yeah, and as we go by the front stretch here with the leaders and all that looking over, there is nobody on pit road. So the Isaacs is doing his own thing here, and we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, Isaac's about a lap and a half down, so let's say he's about 25 seconds off of the guy in front of him. So, I mean, he's got a bit of a gap, and last time by, he ran a 30.05, so going to bring these tires in a little slower, but he does have that 3/4 of a second on the rest of the field, John.
Yeah, and he'll make up some ground, but if these guys run long, guess what's going to happen? The pendulum's going to swing the other way when these boys come to pit road.
Definitely interesting to see, and I think, it would almost be to the point if let's say he is lucky enough to get back on the lead lap and a caution flies as somebody's getting on pit road. John, I think 20 laps maybe is long enough that you yourself would want to come back down pit road. So you're not really going to make any track position up if that would happen.
Especially on this surface. So these cars tend to slide on this surface a little more than asphalt. So I think the tire wear here is just a tad bit more, especially across the rear of the car.
Look at J-Rob to the outside, defending champion Josh Robinson, ripping it through 3 and 4. Courtney Nelson, will be interesting to see what he does here. They clearly both have some pace in the race car, and that's why Courtney is a top-notch driver. He says, man, you want to go? Go ahead. Plenty of laps to play.
Yeah, and that's also a testament to that 23 car, having taken care of his equipment.
Got another one here. Bob Fellenbaum coming down pit road. Tom Embassy behind him. And, man, now we got 3 coming down pit road. And no disrespect to those guys, John, but, I think the 3 that we've seen hit pit road were running middle of the pack towards the back. I just don't know if they're even on the leader's radar. But here comes Luke Lane, and this is important. The man in 16th position in points, he does not want to get caught a lap down here, John.
No, he sure doesn't. And, these guys, that are pitting right now, if you kind of do the math, it looks like they are doing what you
Tom Ogle to pit road.
Yeah, these guys are splitting them up into, third of a race, and a third of the race to get through them, it looks like. Now, Ogle pitting may change the calculus for the front 2. But we saw Robinson, where was it, Vegas? Robinson stayed out way longer than everybody else and parlayed that into a win, I believe.
That's what I was going to say here, John, because I think what I find interesting is, we've come to a lot of tracks where we've seen that fall off kind of max. And Robinson, he has been staying in the 30.5s pretty consistently, whereas everyone else, 30.7, maybe a high 30.6. And Robinson may be comfortable with staying out a little longer, but then as soon as I say that, John, 30.7 flat, maybe he's starting to feel it now that he's stuck in traffic.
Well, he's behind the 7 here, so I think the 7's holding him up. If he got around the 7, I bet you his lap times would go up a bit. But here's the thing, too, that, you got guys out there now on new sneakers, as you like to say. You know what? Guys getting the pit road and slowing down, those guys with those new tires are going to have to pay attention because there goes a 23 to the lead, but now you're going to have guys slowing down on the track to get to pit road. That closing rate is going to be enormous.
Yeah, the 23 to the lead. Daniel Hill didn't put up a big fight there, and it makes me wonder, are we possibly going to see the 7 coming down pit road here? Was he clearing the opening behind him? No, he's going to keep on trucking. And Courtney Nelson, we saw pace out of that 78 before, but he's kind of stalled out now behind these 2, John, as well. I know you want to focus on your own race, but this has been about 3, maybe 4 laps that Mr. Tom Ogle's been out there running some pretty quick times, and man, he's going to have a nice gap whenever all these guys make a pit stop.
And you're going to see them come out with new tires and run them back down. But I can't wait to see what Robinson's lap time is here with nobody in front of him, nobody impeding him.
Yeah, let's see. Right
30,
back 60. In the third. Yep, right. 5.8. We'll round down for him. Okay, never mind. Ryan's getting to 6.02. So I like how our SDK can give us different things, but it's okay. All it knows is that thing's quick, quicker than the other guys around him, and that's what matters. And I think, unless Tom Ogle's a little nicer on the tires than he was at the beginning of this run, I think exactly what you said is going to happen, John. This guy might have the juice left at the end of the next run.
Yeah, and the list is growing too of guys that don't want to see a caution now, and these guys so far have done really good about getting on and off pit road, but now there's a pretty big gap between first, second, and third. So you got 3 different guys that, definitely on different agendas now as far as driving goes.
It'll be interesting to see here, too, as we watch Alan Wanamaker take a peek here under Robert Gorisco. Can he get it done? Leaders are approaching lap traffic here. The Gavin Adams of the 30. Oh, he goes to the middle of the racetrack. He gives your leader some room here, but that really slowed down Josh. And here comes one of those cars that have already made a pit stop, new tires. Now, Josh, man, this is, you're the leader. You like what you got, but now you're almost you're scared out there. I mean, that thing, it looked like he was sitting still, John.
Yeah, man, that would make me nervous if I'm the leader.
Yeah, and I mean, that's no shot. I mean, that's what they have to do. These guys are doing what they need to do. Finally clears him. I believe, was that the 95 that we're seeing there? The 05, excuse me. Emerson. Oh, he was 2 laps
You
down.
talked about short pitting, Zach. You know what? If you're watching the fuel consumption in the car, and I would say if I'm running like where Courtney Nelson's running, and I see we got 3 laps to go, instead of running it dry, I might go ahead and dive down there and see if I can get a lap, up to speed before these other 2 guys do, just to cut maybe that half a second off, because, if you're talking only 1 lap difference, you're not going to see a big difference in fall off between the 2. Oh, we got Hills coming in.
Yep, the trash man trying to get it on pit road, and boy, he was hauling the mail there, John. He got every ounce out of that thing. You see MacArthur kind of smooth in there, but Daniel, he was hanging that thing high and handsome entering the pit road.
Yeah, we're working lap 67, and you said, you got to about 70 on here, so he might be doing exactly what I was saying. Hey, look, there's only a couple laps here going to be different. Let me bank a couple of laps where I've got that much more speed, and then, 2 lap difference tires. At the end of the day, that's not really going to be a whole lot. Will you make up a half a second, over 2 laps, let's say, with those tires? That's a pretty valid question. I don't know the answer to that.
It'll be interesting to see, too. I mean, right now, Josh isn't giving anyone the chance, but do we have any drivers? Alan Wanamaker, I mean, he's mentioned. Oh, Daniel Hill, look at that, John. He spun out coming off a pit road. Having trouble getting it in gear, finally finds it. But, oh, man, that is not what you want to happen if you're Daniel Hill.
Nope, and we talk about it every week. Pit stops. You got to be perfect in and out. And I forgot who it was we saw last week overshoot their pits and had to back up, and it cost them, took them right out of contention for the win.
No, and you got to think, you don't want to write him off, but, man, the way this race is headed without a caution, boy, it is going to be an uphill battle.
Courtney's coming in. Nope, he was just slowing down. Well, I heard that car really, really decelerate and bogged down there. I really thought he was coming to the pit area, so, boy, those guys, his last lap time was a 31:13, so... Yeah, he almost came to a stop in the corner, it looked like, compared to what they were running earlier.
Interesting to see here, John, if he comes down pit road this time, did he maybe have a uh-oh moment? Wanted to pit.
Here comes Robinson.
A little too hot. Let's see, Robinson.
Oh, he's going to stay out. Yep, Nelson's going to push it one more.
Now, maybe this for the bonus point? Are we thinking about points here? As my producer reminds me, he's already locked in, so I'm a dummy for that. That lap lead should.
Yeah, but does that bonus point carry into the? This is something we should read the rule. I've read them, but I can't remember. I think that point might carry over to the chase.
It may have tiebreaker implications too.
Yeah,
so you never know. Because now he's going to hit pit road, and Lloyd Moore, he's going to stay out here. He's going to pick a lap. up. And the guy who I mentioned too loves getting that bonus point for leading the lap, Alan Wanamaker. He's still out there on the racetrack rolling around P2, but you need that guy ahead of you to come down pit road. And man, the boss man, Victor Lane, he's right behind him. And those guys, man, neither of them locked in with a win here so far. So they're trying to find any point they can grab.
Yeah, and, you know, MacArthur and them, you know, now they're in like a whole lot of traffic too. But Josh Robinson is at the start-finish line right about now. And the 7 of Hill is all the way in turn 3. So that little spin cost him about a third of a lap. I mean, that's maybe a little less than a third of a lap.
Okay, interesting you say that, John. All right, so we'll give it for these guys. You're the Josh Robinson cam. Where is Josh at right now?
Josh is coming out of turn 4.
And Tom Ogle is passing the start-finish line right now. So that was the gap with pitting early. Interesting. And, I mean, we both know Josh will have the tire advantage, but man, Tom, that's a pretty nice size gap. And if precaution would fly, you see there at the top of the screen, Tom's got himself back on the lead lap naturally here, while the other guys still lap down.
Yeah, and the whole thing about Ogle, though, you know, right now Josh is not going to chop into that difference a whole lot because their tires. Ogle's still got some good in those tires left. It's when we hit lap 30 on those tires, lap 40 on those tires. That's where we saw Josh in that first stint really pick his way through the pack. I mean, he fell back quite a ways at the beginning of that first run, and we'll see now what happens here.
See, our leader, Lloyd Moore, finally coming down pit road. So everything's going to cycle here. As you saw, Wanamaker had just pit the lap before. Is actually Nicholas Self has not yet pit. But, man, only a 4-second lead over Tom Ogle. So hopefully he can get this lap led here and come down pit road. But he's in jeopardy here, John. It just his first. Oh, he overshot. Nicholas Self overshot. Couldn't find the pit road entry.
Costly.
And, yeah, does he have enough gas? Because
yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Was he on E? We'll see here.
And, man, you can see how much that slowed him down. I mean, he's already fallen back to, I said, now
well, he might be creeping, too. He might be creeping because he may know he can't make it back around. We don't know. But I think he can coast there from where he's at now.
Yeah, you would think without a big hiccup here, if he gets this thing down to the bottom, he could coast on in. Here he comes, going to make it. But that was a scary call there for the 56. But live to fight another day here, John, as Tom Ogle leads the way. Jerry Isaacs right behind him, though. And remember that 51, he's one of the guys, the first guy down pit road. And, man, he's kind of losing some steam here with Ogle. He's not able to necessarily keep that pace. And I think that's what we're going to see out of both of them here when the 23 comes rolling up through the field.
Yeah, last time by, he was 2/10 slower than the 23 car. So, you know, but you know what? When he pitted, if he pitted, he was in 14th or 15th. At the end of this run, or whenever he comes back to pit road, you know what? If he only falls back to 7th, 8th, 9th, well, that's a win. You know, that means he made ground on the pit. That means he made ground on his pit strategy.
Wonder if possibly a speeding penalty to Lloyd Moore. Let's stay on this, Ryan. Let's see if he pulls in the box. If he doesn't go in the box, it was a pass-through speeding. And, man, John, I want to say that's going to cost you at least 30 seconds. That's going to be a backbreaker.
Yeah, now he's hoping for a quick caution.
Man, straight on through. So Lloyd Moore feeling the pressure there of maybe needing to ace that pit stop after going so long. Drove it in a little deep. You see there, that's the 95 of Fred Wolford III there in that Lightning McQueen machine. He's got his lot behind him. And I believe Bill Martin there in the Diet Mountain Dew machine. Got a good little 3-car battle going on here for, I believe, it's final spot in the top 10. Hislop looking to the inside. Couldn't find the run, though. Going to fall back in line, get a little bit of draft. Take one more peek there in the bottom of 3. And Freddie going to give him plenty of room here, but now he's going to come back down the hill. They're still side by side. But, man, Hislop maybe got it at the line. Good drive on the bottom there at 1 and 2. He's able to float up in front of Wolford, completes the pass, but now Lightning McQueen taking a peek back on the inside. What goes around comes around. He's going to try it on the bottom through 3. He was there, but man, James said, no way, get in line, let's go run these guys down, man. Long way to go. We're a 2.5 seconds behind that 21 of Blackjack Luke Lane, who looked like he may have just been making no, that was around lap traffic there, around the 30 car. Oh, Luke was maybe making a pass there for Lane, kind of running by himself. And as I'm scanning through the field here, I mean, we are spread out, and I mean, green flag pit stops, they got a tendency to do that. And man, now the race, it's just gonna crawl around here for a little bit until these tires start to equal out.
Yeah, and well, you know what? I don't think it's going to be long before we're going to have a battle for second, because if you look at the distance now between Isaacs and Robinson, he's cut that difference in half, even more than half at this point.
Yeah, and he's doing such a job of consistently running around 30.1, not trying to push this race car, John. It's so easy. You know that as well as I do, man. You're on the freshest rubber out there. You see the carrot in front of you. But, man, he is reeling it in nice and slow.
Yeah, and Josh is smart enough, I think, behind the wheel. He knows he doesn't have to push it, I guess, in a lot of that sense of urgency, I don't want to say he doesn't get it behind the wheel, but you know what? Winning championships and whatnot, you learn to be patient. You don't have that pressure to have to push. You can let races come to you and things like that. And I mean, honestly, that's how you win championships.
Well, John, as we roll through 3 and 4 here, you'll notice something at the line. Cross flags in the air, man. We're halfway. There's only been one flag so far, the green. It has been good, and I'm telling you, these guys, they don't give me any what's the correct word? I'm not worried we're going to have a caution, I should say. I don't know how to phrase that.
Well, the good news is the way these guys are going, man. I mean, we can get out of here and go over to Broadway there in that downtown Nashville and have a good time before the night's out.
I'll tell you, I have my wife's cousin lives down there in Nashville, and he says, John, I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's one of the best places. Oh, man, I can only imagine what it's like. Here you go, Josh Robinson. We knew this was coming, John. I mean, Isaacs, this is nothing against him, but let's see. When did he pit on lap 49? So he's been out there almost 40 laps.
And that's what I said earlier. The first 20, he's not going to dig into them, but that last one, you hit about 40 on is where Josh is going to start picking them up and laying them down.
Yeah, and this is where if you pit early. You can't pit super early here again, John. 49 laps. If you do that again, he's looking at a 72-lap run to the finish. And if you're already struggling on tires, you don't want to do that to yourself here to close this thing out.
No, and and Jerry's going to have to make a decision behind the wheel. How hard does he want to fight for this position? When you look up in the rearview mirror and somebody has run you down from that far back, unless you're right at the end of the race, you kind of let the guy go. I mean, that's really, if you really want to preserve your car, you let the guy go. Don't use up your stuff any more than you have to. If they've run you down, as you see Robinson go by, if they've run you that far, that getting past is inevitable. So why waste your stuff, trying to prevent the inevitable?
No, and that's exactly where I think, it goes back to how you mentioned, as you see this 4-car battle for 18th, Sean Foltz under Victor Lane, you mentioned the famous Indy, and you go back to, you've got to race that racetrack. You've got to wipe out the guys around you, and you got to realize, hey, if I try to race this guy right now, well, I'm not setting myself up for any success. So you got to be racing yourself. And John, as well as I do, man, not easy to do.
No, and as a competitor, it stinks. You know what? You want to race hard every lap. That's how most drivers, they're just programmed that way. And that's not a bad thing, but usually what separates the guys that you always hear, hey, where did he come from, attached to him, those are the guys that kind of, to quote Kenny Rogers, you know what, since we're in Nashville, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to walk away.
See Luke Lane there feeling the pressure from Fred Wolford III. That's that battle for 10th. Luke has done an excellent job, man. In the beginning of the season, John, he was kind of struggling, trying to find his way into the top 20, but it seems like these past couple weeks, he's really developed his long run, man. He has worked on his tire wear, and he's done a good job in that 21 tonight.
Yeah, and it couldn't come at a better time as the season's, now into the second half, and, we're starting to get to the stretch run of those playoffs, and with him holding that playoff, you know what? You just, wow, the 7 car really came up on those guys really fast. Those are new tires, both he and the 00.
So that's interesting to see there, John, and that's what I was going to say there. So the 00, now he's a lap down, okay? Yeah. So we can't compare.
Fresher tires.
Yeah, definitely fresher tires, but man, that just shows Daniel, he spun out, had trouble straightening the car, but if you got to do a slow run down pit road, I mean, that's how much more it'll affect you than just a quick little spin off pit road.
Yeah, he's lost all kind. I mean, he went from literally controlling the race, being up in the top 2, to now he's back in the pack. And, unless he sees a caution, boy, he's going to have a real hard time getting back up there.
Now here, how nice do Dwayne MacArthur and Courtney Nelson play with each other? It looked like pretty nice. They knew that that 51 had old tires. Now those guys can go at it if they want.
Yeah, and Isaacs was smart. Really, really smart right there. He's like, you know what, guys, I've had my fun here. I'm going to hold on to the next pit stop.
No, and Isaac's one of those guys I'm almost certain still looking for his first win this season. So important that he was able to get out front, get a couple laps sled. I mean, he's, I believe, 12th, maybe 13th in the points. He's not in there, but, he's sandwiched right in the center. So Jerry, one of those guys, every point he can get, he'll take.
Yeah, and I still can't get over this shifting. I'm listening to these guys, and they're all shifting in the corner. I guess that's probably one of my complaints about this new car. I don't like that shifting in the corner, man. I like just drop her in 5th and go.
As I believe that's Alan Wanamaker shooting under Bill Martin. It is Alan up to 14th. Bill,
and Luke Lane's in front of him now.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And that was based off, I want to say, pit strategy, because Alan, one of those guys that, I mean, John went till he was almost empty. So hopefully Alan, if it all goes according to plan, he's another one making a charge through the field here.
Yeah, and right now Alan, looks up in that mirror and sees Wanamaker, and you know what? He's got to go because, if that 74 gets around the 21, that means that 21, his gap, to being in 17 shrinks. And that's we talked about at the top of the show, one of his goals has got to be getting as many points as he can, managing that gap, and part of that is keeping that 74 car behind him.
Yeah, no, I mean, we mentioned racing the track, but I think those guys may be the exceptions tonight. They're going to be racing each other pretty hard, I would think. And there you saw Alan for a quick second. There's Luke, not too far ahead. And, man.
And Alan's catching him. All right, Alan's catching Alan. Wanamaker's catching Alan. The 74 is catching the 21. Lane. I do have an AARP card on that name. So for me, man, I got to get through that. Apologies to all the drivers affected on that. I mean, not screwing up the name there.
Yeah, I always cheat. Any driver, and it's so awesome if I see that he self-put the nickname Blackjack in, but any driver number 21, I'm always defaulting. If I'm having a brain fart, I won't even say Luke. I'll just call him Blackjack.
Yeah.
As you see there, I believe that is the 12 machine of Andy Thomas, and that's Patrick Martindale behind him in the Napa machine. These guys, Bill Martin had pit, I want to say, 10 laps before Andy Thomas, the guy up the road. Now Patrick Martindale, he's got the freshest tires out of those three. Ogle now looks up in that rearview mirror, John, and man, he sees a monster coming.
Yeah. I mean, we saw it coming for a while here. He was able to slowly reel him in. I don't even know that the 23 used his stuff up trying to run him down. The one thing that's interesting is you do got some lap traffic out front of those leaders. As we think we got a battle back in the pack.
Yeah, Alan Wanamaker completes the pass on Luke Lane. That's that battle for 16th position in points. And here comes Alan Wanamaker trying to pick off another one. And I mentioned one of the last guys to go down pit road. But look at Luke there. He's trying to pick up the scrap, John. He's trying to fight on by. He worked on Wolford for 3, probably 4 laps. Couldn't get him done, but now he might have had some air breathed into him. As Tom Ogle going to make Josh Robinson work. You can't, John, we talk about racing the racetrack, but at this point, a little under 70 to go. Ogle, he's got to make Josh work for the pass for the lead, and I think he knows it.
Yeah, I at this point, I think I would make him put a little effort into it. There's still a pit stop to go yet, so you don't want to get in a bad spot where you get have to do anything crazy to defend or get a pass done. But you do want him to work a little bit here.
You see Ogle work under the 05 of Embassy. Embassy does a good job of getting out of the way. The 105 does as well. Going to let both the leaders drive on by. But Josh Robinson now, he's going to drive it in a little deep. He was conservative there in traffic, wanted to make the move. Can he find a way to get it to stick? Oh, man, he's got a rocket ship through 3 and 4. He's almost got a fender there, John.
He's got a fender there.
Going to drive it in side by side here into 1, back into the throttle. And, man, the 23 making it look easy. J-Rob in the lead here with 66 laps to go.
Man, oh man, oh man. I hate to say, lights out over with that 23 because, but unless there's some caution, boy, he is really, really going to be tough to beat, to win this thing.
No, and, John, I mean, he took it on the chin. He had such a great attitude in his interview last week, but, I mean, how bad did he want this one after losing it the way he did at Charlotte? Not that Dwayne didn't go out there and earn it, but boy, I'm telling you, if Josh could go back there and redo that thing, 100 times, he'd never drive turn 3 and 4 the way he did last week.
Yeah. Yeah, Wanamaker and Garisco fighting it out there for 11th and 12th here, but you spoke about last week. It's funny. You know what? The wins, the memory and the celebration for the wins tend to fade. The ones you feel like you give away or got away, those stick with you for such a long time. I mean, for some guys it could be months. Some guys it might be weeks. I would say for normal people, maybe days.
Yeah, but they aren't iRacers, John.
I know. I still cringe over ones I've given away months ago. And when I go back to the track, I think about it constantly.
And as you see this 3-car battle for 15th, that's Bill Martin in the back, I believe. Yeah, Patrick Martindale and Andy Thomas. They're running around. And that's what I was talking about a little earlier. So Bill Martin was in front of them a couple laps ago, but he had pit 10 laps before Andy Thomas. And like I say, Martindale 4 laps later than those boys. So Patrick Martindale, another one to kind of keep your eye on here, maybe can move one up through the field, is Luke Lane. He pit on lap 56, John, one of the early pitters. So he's gone over what he did on that first run, and maybe now drivers like the 21 here is Isaac's still out there. He pit lap 49. I mean, we know they don't want to come in too early, but when's the move here if you've been out there that long?
I don't know, but like you said, if he goes short again, But here's the thing. Remember what I told you about, if he can run the cycle, I mean, I don't know where he pitted from, but if he pitted from like 10th, 11th, 12th, well, now he's top 5, and the pit stops are coming up. So that's a win. I mean, that's a great job for Jerry. He might have made the move of the race by doing that, just by how much he improved on the track.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see here what spot he was. I'm going to cheat here while you guys are watching this and go back and look. So he pit from 8th. So yeah, you got
he picked up 3 spots.
Yeah, and really, John, compared to the guys behind him,
that's a win.
He is a little slower right now, but I think, they're all probably, I would assume, going to pit here 10 to 15 laps.
He's coming. Jerry's coming right now.
Yep, here he comes. Okay. So he was starting to feel it, but so far, it's worked. He can't.
Yeah, well, think about it.
He's got to get in the box.
Yeah, he pitted from 8th, worked up to 5th. Now this time he's going to pit from 5th. You know what? If history holds true, this thing's going to shake out. Maybe he's a top 3 car at the end of the race now.
Now, do other guys maybe like Tom Ogle here, who,
no disrespect here to the winner this season, but it looks like he's kind of racing himself for second. Does he maybe
Bates is coming in.
Hold in the pits?
We got one in the grass.
Oh, we do this
penalty.
38 machine of Bob Fellenbaum, and that's going to be a penalty, John. I'm not sure if I believe that'll probably be a hold once he gets in the pit box.
Possibly, or a drive-through. So either way, that's going to take him out of that battle.
As we're watching Isaacs, look at him get every ounce of that coming off pit road, getting slideways. As you see, I believe that is the 9 machine. Yeah, it is the old smoking machine. Brian Lynch, James Hislop right in front of him. And Hislop, one of those guys, didn't have the best qualifying effort. Started 18th, but he's got that thing right now up to 6th, 12 spots for Hislop. And man, he's been a hard charger here in a couple of these races so far this season, John.
Yeah, that's a sign of a patient driver. Just letting the race come to him. When you make a lot of spots up, chances are at some point in time in the night you made the decision to kind of cool it and let the race come to you.
Interesting. Alan Wanamaker here taking advantage of that new rubber, shooting inside Crisco. That's Robert Borisco on the outside, but Robbie going to drive it in deep on the outside. Not just going to hand Alan the keys here. Going to make him work for this thing, but advantage 74. And man, good job here at nursing these tires for Alan. He's going to wish these guys, I think, had enough gas to go the rest of the way, John, because he's feeling like $1 million.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this too about the leader right now. Robinson has got a whole lot of traffic out his front windshield. So the last thing he wants to see is 2 guys start horsing around and have an accident happen right in front of them. I mean, they're all pretty much filtered out in single file, but I do see cars way up the track in front of them, though.
And you got to think, man, this is another thing. I'm watching the times go by up on the top, and John, what could have been night here for the trash man Daniel Hill, because he is about, I want to say, 14 seconds off the leader. And, I mean, that spin coming off pit road is going to cost him at least 10. And, man, that's 7
if not
machine.
more.
Yeah, that is tough, man. He has got to be feeling it. But here comes Tom Ogle. I said that. You're running around by yourself. Clearly the second fastest car here this evening. You got to make a move. You got to try to win this thing. And coming down pit road might be that medicine. Now, when does Josh pit here, John? He's got to.
I don't know, but that's a great strategy by Ogle, because right now Robinson is going to be slower trying to work through this traffic. So, he may not, I don't know if he intentionally did it or not, but right now is a great time for Ogle to pit, because he's going to make up time with the new tires, and Josh is being hampered by lap traffic right now.
No, you're exactly right. And it's not that the lap traffic's doing anything wrong, but they're in battles themselves.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's really tough for the 23 to work around. And Tom, with a good pit stop there, in and out real quick.
Martin's coming in.
Yep, Bill Martin dipping down pit road in the Diet Mountain Dew machine. He was another one. Look at that front end wiggling there as he hits the pit road entrance line. I mean, he's getting all.
It was a late entry, so if he got on there, I didn't see if he got on or not, but I knew it was going to be close the way he turned down pit road. But he'll make up a lot of time if he didn't get any penalties.
Your Daytona 500 winner going to the outside. They're going to let the leader duck to the inside. Josh Robinson rolling around in that Micro Center 23. Coming to lap 120 this time here, John. 51 laps to go. And
I think we're at the point where I'm looking at Josh's lap times. He's right at that 30.5 mark again. He might be at that max limit, about the slowest time he's going to run. I think he needs to come down and hit pit road here.
Yeah, we'll see what he does, because he's not going to have quite, well, he'll have some time to get back, but every lap you run and go long at this stage of the race, that's one less lap you have to run him down at the end here.
And Tom Ogle, I'm trying to take a peek at him on my lap time software. So Josh Robinson last time by 30.49. Tom Ogle gave me a 30.32 as Daniel Hill, you see, comes down pit road. So Tom, maybe one here, John. So he wants the fresh rubber. He's going to come down here early, but that's interesting. We're not seeing those, quicker lap times out of Tom. I think he's really trying to keep as much life in these as he can.
Which is a shame, because Robinson just ran a 30.94, and you know what? He's in traffic. Like I said, it's slowing him down even more than what he would with just his tires alone. So big opportunity for Ogle to make some ground up here.
Yep, and a 30.2 for him last time by, and Josh continues to stay out there on the racetrack. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but man, Josh, he's found victory lane a lot more times than I have. But man, if I am that crew chief, I'm saying you get your butt down pit road, man. I even offer him ice cream, John, to try to entice him to get down there.
Well, I said at the top of the show, I thought going long was going to be the winning strategy here, and it's good to see someone actually doing it. We've seen so many problems with guys getting on and off pit road here tonight. I just feel like for every car that goes down pit road, that could always be a caution. So I think running it long like this is definitely the way to go.
Tom Embassy working that 05 to the inside. He's a couple laps down, I believe, so I don't think that's a battle for position. Jeez. And Embassy, man, looking like super. Oh, as you see both those guys, well, they're both going to come down pit road, but boy, I thought we were going to. Yeah, I thought we were getting some highway accident right there, John.
I did too. I was watching it, and the thing is, our leader was like, just a second or two behind that, so he could see that going on too.
And speaking of your leader there, he just laps the 59 of Sean Foltz, a guy who, we've seen this year. We've talked about bad luck, man. And, John, nothing short of just getting the wrong end of the stick here this season. It's another tough night here, but right now still running around in the top 10. Pretty good night for the 59. Courtney Nelson now coming down pit road. He was running third, I believe, at the time, maybe second. Now Dwayne MacArthur running P2. He's about 8 seconds off your leader, Josh Robinson. So he's another one. Maybe doesn't want to go too long. Maybe needs some fresh tires to try to run down Josh. Or, John, is he at the point where he knows I don't think I'm racing Josh?
He might be, but, I keep getting, now I'm actually starting to get a little bit, I don't want to say nervous on Josh's level, but I don't know how many laps it took him to run Tom down after that pit stop to take the lead. But, if it was like, let's just say hypothetically, let's say it was 30 laps. If he pits right now, you're talking lap 157, 12 laps to go. That's not a big window. If you have a problem on pit road or you get caught up with a lap car, you're really starting to narrow that window of opportunity you have to regain the lead coming off pit road.
Would be not that I want to see it happen, but as you see the standings roll by, if we were to get a caution right now, John, 2 cars on the lead lap, Josh Robinson and Dwayne MacArthur. So that would, that would really be interesting.
Yeah.
That would trap a lot of the field. And, maybe what he's hoping for.
Robinson's coming.
He is, and oh man,
nice.
He's another one. Wow, what a pit road entry. Right out to the outside of that white line.
Yeah, that was a real nice job getting out of pit road.
So now, if you were wondering, Tom Ogle just drove by those guys.
Yep, unlapped
entering
himself.
turn 1. So that's how much time, you lose on pit road. We expect Tom to inherit the lead out of those three, but the boss man, Victor Lane, he's still out on the racetrack. Not going to get credit for a lap led this time by, as Josh was up in one of the front pit boxes, had already crossed the finish line. But Victor, he's one of those guys, John, needs the points.
Yeah, and Ogle just crossed the finish line going into one, and I think I see Josh on the bottom. I think Josh put a big enough gap because Ogle did not close it. But look at this. Oh, wow. Yeah, Ogle's got to get the lead, but Robinson's got to be right there. And, oh, man, if I'm Ogle, you know at this point you want a caution to maybe get some new tires, something, because that's going to be a very tall order to keep that 23 car at bay now.
Yeah, I think of the SOCOM Navy SEALs commercial for PlayStation 2, and right now Josh Robinson, he's like shooting fish in a bucket, I think. He's got those fresh tires. Man, this is
no pressure to try to use anything up.
Yeah, this is not what Ogle wanted to see at all. I expected maybe a 3-second lead at minimum, but to see it come out and be this close, man, Tom is going to have to make that thing wide here. Is Dwayne MacArthur feeling some pressure behind Daniel Hill? See if the trash man can work that 7 machine on by Daniel at pit lap, I want to say 120, so he went pretty far. Dwayne MacArthur 128. Lloyd Moore still out there, hasn't pit again since that penalty. He hasn't pit since lap 75. And Ken Allen, your leader, been out there since lap 70. So he enjoying being out front, but he's going to need a caution if he wants to stay there.
Yeah, and back to that pit stop when Ogle came out and you were running those lap times off, and he was running 32.2s and Josh was running 32.5s. That just was not enough to really take advantage of those new tires. And I can't wait. If things hold true, we're going to get to talk to both of them. That'll be definitely some questions we'll have. Why was it tough? Because I think to make a difference here, where it would have forced Josh to run harder, I think Ogle post pit stop would have had to be in the 29s, 29 6s, 29 7s.
Well, John, you said he'd get around 3 spots, so he went 8th to 5th in a spot. Now I went from 5th to 3rd. Look at Jerry Isaacs, man. Using those pit stops to absolutely perfection. He was able to come down to lap 110. Does he have enough left to hold on to the final spot at the podium?
That's a pretty good question. He's got some folks. I mean, Courtney. Looks like probably the fastest of the guys chasing him is going to be Courtney there, and it's going to be. I think that's going to be a tall task to keep them in there too.
Yeah, and Bates, you see, he's that next guy trying to run him down. He had just slapped the wall coming out of 4, was able to hold on to it, trying to get by that 21 of Luke Lane. That's not for position. Luke is a lap down here, so Luke probably not going to fight too hard, but at the same time, that's that man 16th in points. You don't want to let those other dogs on new tires come barking at his heels. And Bates trying to get that thing wide, but Courtney Nelson going to maybe put 2 tires on that yellow line. He's going to make it stick side by side into 1. He's got the run coming off at 2. Courtney Nelson, can he go hunt down the 51 of Jerry Isaacs?
I'm going to say the answer is going to be yes. Boy, look at the gap he put on the 81 there once he got into the corner.
There we go, Ryan. Man, I'm telling you, we're on the same brain. Back up front, Josh Robinson getting close, and he knows he's got plenty of time here. He's got 33 laps coming this time by, so no rush here. And
he's running 29-second laps, and Jerry's Tom's up in the 30s. So, yeah. You're probably too young to remember the Mutual Wildlife Omaha, that would come up on Saturdays, but they always had that guy with the British accent, and when the Lions saw the gazelle and sadly, there can only be one outcome. That's kind of what I feel like's going on here right now.
Yeah, and the Gavin Adams in that 30, man, he's a couple laps down, but he's got the best seat in the house here. Is watching Dwayne MacArthur and I believe Daniel Hill work on by. And now Daniel, he thought about making a big move there, but Dwayne MacArthur, Mr. Momentum himself, able to hold on for now. But, you know, not Dwayne MacArthur, I mean, it's crazy to say, John, that a 6th place finish, you know, is kind of off par. But when you win 3 weeks in a row, man, the bar's high.
Yeah, but we need to give a shout out to the guy behind him in that number 7 car. You know, that spin out. And, you know, I know this is not where he really wants to be. He's going to feel like this race is one that's going to be that got away probably, with, you know, barring a caution. But this is a nice recovery. You know, that's a sign of, okay, he didn't panic. You know, he just kind of pinned his ears back and went to work. And it's going to pay off. He's going to have a nice haul of points here and have a nice recovery.
And I believe, yeah, Daniel Hill is one of those guys. He did nab 1 win earlier this season, so not feeling too much pressure. But I don't think, John, you know, I want to say 1 win might get you in, but man, I'm not comfortable saying that. You know, we got a lot of good guys in here. You might want to get that number to 2 just to make yourself feel good here. But Josh Robinson, he's still right there, but just hasn't really been able to make the move. And you know, John, it's a racetrack. I mentioned to you, it's a little different than other ones. Can he wait a while to set up this pass, or is it going to take a couple? And it looks like, well, man, it looked like he was maybe going to go to the high side there, but he maybe burped the throttle.
Well, he may still go to the high side, Zach. He's going to have a big run down this backstretch.
He's going to try to diamond off a 2. You see he's got a lot of steam under that 23, but Tom Ogle just enough there to hold on.
He's going to try it again down the front stretch. There he comes. Big run. Oh, he lifted at the start-finish line. That is a guy being very patient, not putting either guy in a bad spot.
Yeah, you know, I wonder if that's almost, you know, the cat just swatting at the bird a little bit, you know, playing with his food here, wondering, all right, I can get him there. I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to try it another way. I need a couple game plans to go at this guy. I mean, it just looks like he literally could strike at any moment.
Yeah, and it could have been that, or, you know, the other thing is, too, okay, look, you play it out. Okay, well, this is where I'm going to catch him. You know, I almost want to say I think he was going to have a really bad angle going into 1 if he will try to complete the pass there. So it's tough to say, but I probably would have bailed because I wouldn't have liked the angle that I had going into turn 1.
Oh man, he is right there. He can smell what Tom ate for dinner here as we cross the start-finish line. We're getting to that time, man. Pay window's open. We're 26 to go. And Josh Robinson going to try to build momentum. Now, I wonder if that was on purpose or if that was, you know, maybe overdrove a little bit because he got way up there and, man, it just wasn't worth the pay.
I think he was trying to get the biggest run he could and probably misjudged it a little bit. Because if you can pick up that throttle or drive it a little deeper on the top like that, the bigger run you'll get off the corner. But that one there did not work out.
Now, you know, I don't know if it would play out in time. And, I mean, if Tom keeps holding up Josh like this, that cat in 3rd place, he's been about 0.2 a lap faster than these guys. Courtney Nelson, he's slowly tugging at that string. And if Josh can't get by Tom, this may be a 3-car race before we know it. Tom doing a good job making that thing wide. Runs him down, you know, leaves him room there, John. But I love that. Moves down to the center of the racetrack, and he says, if you're going to do this, you're going to go right down against that apron. And Tom jumps in the throttle, slides up the racetrack a little bit. Josh still side by side. Tom with a little bit of run, but Josh goes up the hill, pulls a little side draft. Side by side, entering 3. He can stay in the throttle where Tommy has to lift. And we're going to have a new leader at the line this time by Josh Robinson, the man out front.
Yeah, Tom's not done yet. He's going to fight a little bit here on the outside through 1 and 2. What needs to happen is Robinson needs to clear him with that back bumper, and he needs to be able to swing out to the wall. Still not clear.
John, if you're Tom here, you need to drive this thing down. You need to hunker that 23 down as low as you can. He leaves him a little bit.
He's clear now.
Room, and yeah, Josh can jump in that throttle, clears the door, and Tom Ogle now he's just got to try to hook onto that 23. It might be all she wrote.
He needs to hook onto that 23 and run very consistent, because you mentioned it. The 78 there of Courtney Nelson is behind these two, and he's coming.
And Courtney Nelson, 9 lap fresher tires than Tom Ogle. Josh Robinson, the freshest, 12 laps fresher than Mr. Ogle. And well, Jerry Isaacs, he's got about a 2-second gap over Dwayne MacArthur. He's lost third, obviously, there to Courtney Nelson, but that pit strategy move there for Jerry Isaacs, that's something to write home about. Got him up into the top 5, and he is just looking for the sand here to fall out of the hourglass. See, look at we started this thing, John, the sun was setting. Completely dark here, got the lights on at Nashville, 20 laps to go. And Josh Robinson, feeling cool as a cucumber out front, man. 1 second already, and it's almost, John, you don't want to get cocky, but he can maybe lay the seat back a little bit and relax here as long as this thing stays green.
Yep, he just has to worry about hitting his marks, being consistent. He knows he's got the tire advantage, so, you don't have to go out there and set breakneck speeds, lap times, but you got to be consistent and just do what you do, and he's going to bring it home if he does that.
You're hopping around here. My partner there, Ryan, telling us no battles going on. I see that for myself. Lloyd Moore finally making that second pit stop. So this was out of necessity. He was probably open for a caution there after he had that penalty. He was just trying to hold on to something. Couldn't go any longer. Is the battle for 19th. Alan Wanamaker to the inside. And, here in battle for 19th, Alan Wanamaker.
He must have had a problem on his pit stop.
That's exactly what I was just thinking here, John, because that is, I don't know. I mean, he was running.
Blackjack is, Luke is all the way up at 18th, so yeah, maybe some guys did the short pit and were able to jump him.
We'll have to see if maybe, they can charge through the field. Interesting. They've Allen pit on lap 126. Here, Dwayne MacArthur trying to, I don't think he's going to have to try, John. I think he's going to make this look pretty easy. Isaac's feeling the tires here at this point in time. And now you got to wonder, there's another one here coming up behind him. I mean, he's got the trash man. It may have worked here to get him up into 8th. I may have jinxed him. He might end up falling back there, because here comes Chris. James Hislop not too far behind. Brian Lynch. Those guys there close enough, and they can see the blood.
15 to go. I don't know. 15 laps. They're gonna go by quickly here. I mean, I would worry about Hill, but I don't know about those other two guys. I think he may have enough room there to not have to worry about the other two.
It's Josh Robinson just rolling through 1 and 2, smooth. Fred Wolford right up the road in front of him. He's in 14th. That's that final car on the lead lap. Watching the 107 battle with Alan Wanamaker here. That's the battle for 18th. Wanamaker going high and handsome. Ken just driving right underneath that inside. And that puts one more spot in between Luke and Alan. And that is not what Alan Wanamaker wants.
No.
It's Josh Robinson here rolling around, coming. We are running out of time. So if somebody plans on stealing this thing, We're wanting Tom Ogle to have a shot. We're going to need a spin. We're going to need a loop, something to spice this thing up. But, John, I don't think we're getting it. You know, we warned the folks. These guys like to race hard, and better off they like to race clean. Man, we could be doing 170 green.
Yeah, it's not the first time we've seen a caution go caution-free. I'm still impressed with the whole Darlington caution-free race. What was it, about a month ago?
Yeah, I don't know how you walk into the Lady in Black there and not have a caution, but pretty unbelievable if those guys do it. And Josh Robinson putting Wolford a lap down. Wolford's still going to be pretty pumped, I think, with this run. He's had to work hard for this top 15. It hasn't been easy there for Lightning McQueen tonight.
I think there's a lot of guys this old girl hasn't been nice to that. I think they probably had higher hopes than where they are running here. It's a driver's track, so I mean, you know, some guys may struggle, but I bet you a lot of guys get here and think, oh, this is a fun track to drive. And maybe it just doesn't equate to speed, though. I know I have enough of those tracks, and you know that I know I race that on a basis that I really like running them, but God, I hate racing on them.
You see there up top that 11, it's going to change to 10 this time by, we'll have 10 to go, and Daniel Hill has cut the gap down to P5 to about a second. Does he have enough time to get to the back of the 51? And, you know, not that it really means a whole lot more in the grand scheme of things, but when you spun off pit road, if you can land yourself a top 5, John, that is everything.
It is, but you know what's funny? At the end of the night, then you sit there for a minute, and you either are kicking yourself because you knew you gave one away, or you're, hey, that was a pretty good job getting all that back, and maybe it's a little bit of both. So those kind of things that happen, we'll chalk those up to the bittersweet category.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, if you're going to have those mistakes, you never want them to happen, but you don't want them to happen in the playoffs. Better have them now and just work those bugs out, man. You try to smooth it over, and that's what Daniel's done here tonight. He's got that gap down now to about half a second here. He's close. He's going to have plenty of time here to do this thing, but he's going to have to be smart about it. It's Tom Ogle. John, you warned him. You said Courtney Nelson, he was coming, and well, we got a battle for second.
Yeah, and this is a finish that Courtney has really needed too. He's had a rough spate of things here in the last few weeks. I've seen him get into a lot of trouble, most of which is not his own making. So you know what? This is going to be a good shot in the arm for that 78 car.
Courtney trying to work the inside, coming off a 4. Can he get a good enough run to peak low? Not yet. I think right now Tom getting some help from that lap car in front, a little draft down the straightaway, and that's going to make it that much harder there for Courtney to get this done. Now Wolford will probably get out of the way here, I'd imagine, coming out of 4. But for now, you can see, John, it's really helping Tom. Oh, and Daniel Hill tried to get the job done on the outside there from Isaacs. He gets in the outside wall and going to have to go back at it here. Plenty of time. As we go back up to the battle here for second.
We're getting down to it, Zach. There's 6 laps here to go, 5.5 laps to go. Gotta go.
Yeah, just, trying to be that angel on his shoulder here, coach him. You got the new tires. You got to tell yourself you got time. Got to try to make it work. And that's
got a good run here.
Nelson's doing. Yeah, look at this side by side at the line, John. We've got 5 to go. And Courtney Nelson, man, does he go up here? Does he use them up? No, he stays on the bottom. Side by side, Ogle trying to get the run off of 2, and he's got one.
He's got one, but we're going to see now 78's going to have a pretty good shot here and have a good run coming off the front stretch.
He drives it in side by side, entering 3. They're still door to door coming through 4. As Courtney floats up a little bit, Tom gets the run off the corner. He holds it off at the line. 4 laps to go here. And Josh Robinson loves hearing these guys battle behind him. He's all by himself out front.
Yeah, tip of the hat to Ogle, man. He is really fighting on the outside, and he's got an inch out ahead of Nelson now.
Tom is working this thing. He's not giving Courtney a lot of room, and that's what's helping him coming off of four, especially, John. He gets it at the line one more time, and, you know, unless Courtney maybe gets a little rude here on the bottom, maybe takes what's his, I don't know if he's going to get it done.
No, he needs to be able to swing out to the wall, and, well, the problem is that 11 car is out there, and he's got to scrub speed, not letting that car drift out. But I am seeing that 78 take a little bit later of a turn in. He's clear. I was going to say that late turn in forced Ogle to go high in the corner there. You lose a little grip when you do that, and that makes it a lot easier to make a pass.
Yeah, good old-fashioned slide job there. As you see, Ogle had the momentum coming off the corner. And Courtney did a great job keeping it down on the bottom, wouldn't let Ogle take a peek. And, man, Josh Robinson rolls into turn 3 and 4, John, and it's so close. He can almost taste it. That white flag is about to wave. We've got one lap to go here at the Nashville Superspeedway. Through 1 and 2, you know, this is where he's just watching that machine in front of him. Wouldn't be shocked here, I doubt. Yeah, you see Josh just lift out of the throttle. You're not going to put yourself into any dumb spots.
Yep.
He lost a heartbreaker last week at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and he came into Nashville, and he took this one, and we'll have to see if he smashes the guitar. Josh Robinson wins here for the OBRL 170-lap event at the Nashville Superspeedway. And, John, you know, a lot of races you come in, maybe the right guy necessarily doesn't win, or per se the fastest guy. I think that guy won tonight.
Yeah, I would sure like to see what would have happened if the 7 stayed in the mix there. And, you know, we do got to give a shout out to Dan Hill. He was able to salvage a top 5. But I'm going to say, Zach, is debatable who is the fastest, that 7 or that 23. But we'll never know this go around. But what a good run there by Josh and Tom. What a good show there between Tom and Courtney there at the end.
Yeah, they really brought it to him, battling there for second and third. As you see, Josh, Courtney, Tom going to park in on the front stretch for their photo. Now they're probably going to go hydrate a little bit, maybe go use the bathroom. We're going to step away for a minute or two here on the Virtual Grip Network, and we'll be right down with your rundown and interviews from your top 3, including that man right there, defending champion Josh Robinson. Stick around. We're back live on the Virtual Grip Network, and we just saw a 170 lap race with 3 flags, a green, a white, and a checkered. These OBRL boys know how to put on a show, and they did it tonight at the Nashville Superspeedway. And as we bring up the finishing order, you'll see the man, defending champion Josh Robinson, proving why he's the king, made the tires last here tonight and brings it home on the top step of the podium. Courtney Nelson able to edge out Tom Ogle as those two battle side by side the final couple laps, and Courtney holds on to bring P2. Tom Ogle rounds out the top 3. Dwayne MacArthur brings home 4th, and Daniel Hill, arguably maybe one of the fastest drivers here tonight, but a spin on pit road relegates him to 5th. Still a good recovery there for the trash man. Jerry Isaacs 6th, James Hislop 7th, Brian Lynch 8th, Chris Bates 9th, and Robert Corisco rounds out the top 10.
Coming home 11th is Sean Foltz, and he'll be followed by Andy Thomas, Patrick Martindale, Fred Wolford, and Victor Lane finishing 15th. 16th will be your Daytona winner, Mark Fish. Kenny Allen will finish 17th. Alan Wanamaker 18th. Luke Lane will finish 19th. Rounding out your top 20 is going to be Tommy Massey.
Huge there for Alan Wanamaker to get by Luke Lane. That's big points implications. It's only a couple, but he needs every one of them. Gavin Adams coming home in the blackjack spot, 21st. Bill Martin, 22nd. Bob Fellenbaum, 23rd. Nicholas Self, 24th. Lloyd Moore, 25th after the pit road, I want to say probably speeding penalty. That had really hurt him tonight, 25th. And Torrance Childs rounds out the field.
And Zach.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Real quick, you talked about that finish with Wanamaker ahead of Lane, but you know what? I think if I remember correctly, Lane stayed out and led a lap too, so that points is going to get mitigated. We always talk about this league about trying to stay out and get that, leading that lap and getting that point. That might be a scenario where that point might be very important somewhere down the road.
Yeah, most definitely. And Alan, that's why I tried to highlight it tonight. He's one of those guys that, he's focused on that. He knows how important the points could be, and he's making it a point to go out there and try to get one, and he does it here again tonight. But let's see if we can pull up here our 3rd place finisher, a man who, well, Tom, just to be frank, normally we talk to you a little later, but I'm sure you're still happy with the 3rd place finish tonight, man. 170 laps, green flag. How do we feel?
I'm frustrated. I don't know. I went too hard that beginning. I know this tire model, and I complain about it, that you have to ride around for like 10 to 15 laps. Just ride around. You can't dare race. You can't run hard. You have to let it roll. And I tell myself that, and then I just thought if I could get clean air, I could get out and maybe put some better laps down and save tires then, But I ended up racing Dan too hard. Then I was right behind him, and that's even worse on your front. So I had pretty bad tire wear at the end of the first run, and then I had the short pit. So I kind of made my bed that first run, so I'm a little disappointed. I mean, 3rd place is good, and I'm happy with it. But I wish it would have been better.
Well, yeah, but, at the end of the day, you know the guys you're out here with, man.
Right.
They're some dogs. And to bring home a P3, that's a good one. Now, Tom, you had mentioned a little bit needing to, with this tire model, you got to take it easy. Do you think, now, obviously, you did what you thought you needed to do, but did we maybe go a little too easy on that final stint? Because, man, I don't know how shocked. Okay, yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know how shocked you were, but whenever Josh came off pit road, I kind of
knew my goose
you to
was
have
cooked.
A gap. Yeah.
I expected about an 8-second gap, maybe. But here's the problem. See, he had a 3 or 4 second gap on me going in, and I really only gapped him about 4.5 seconds on the first when I short pitted. You know what I mean? But I definitely didn't expect to come out next to him. I came across the start-finish line and saw him pop up on my relative out of the pits. I was like, well, I guess my goose is cooked. But you just don't know how hard to go. You know what I mean? And then I did have a little bit saved when he got there, but I couldn't hold him off for too many laps, But I thought maybe if he didn't get there till 20 to go, I could maybe hold him off. But you just don't know how hard to go. And he has this tire model down pat. He's good at this track. So, I mean, he works the voodoo on this tire model.
Well, hey, man, all in all, a pretty good night here for this 11.
Yeah, really good night. Yeah, good night.
Dude.
I led some laps. Clean air is very important. So I was happy to be out front. But, yeah, it was a good race. Everybody did good. Everybody was clean. So I would have liked to saw a caution when I was leading and reset, you know what I mean, and maybe had everybody on equal tires. But then again, I could have gotten knocked back to 10th place too. So I'll take a third and go home happy.
Well, Tommy, you're making us look smart because what you just said, we said during the broadcast. That's exactly what you needed to kind of equal it out. But sadly, man, it just didn't come. But at the end of the day, a P3, right. Hell of a run, man. Who you want to thank?
Yeah. I want to thank you guys for broadcasting and all the admins for all the work they do in the league. Alan and YesterYear Racing League there for sponsoring this league. And my teammates for helping me out. And Josh, except for Josh, who smoked me and came out of the pits right next to me somehow. But
next week, Tom, just put some banana peel, put some bananas in his tailpipe before you guys go on the track. That'll take care of it.
I need to do something, I think. But yeah, it was a great race.
Well, hey man, congratulations on the good run. And actually, well, hey, before I kick you out of here, we're not road course racing yet. I'm glad I double checked. Michigan next week, man. How do we feel about rolling into Michigan?
I like Michigan. It depends on the setup. I hope the setup is loose and not tight like this one, because then we'll have to do that tire voodoo model again. But I'll probably, I haven't had time to practice this week, so I'll probably get a little more practice next week and have a better handle on the tire management, hopefully.
Well, hey, great run tonight, Tom. We'll be rooting for you. Go get him next week, brother.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
That's Tom Ogle, your P3 finisher, and John as the man who came home P2.
I do. Courtney Nelson is John Hind. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, man, you know what? What a great run tonight. It's one that you have sorely needed. You've had some terrible luck this season. How does it feel to come home second here?
It's as good as a win after the last handful of weeks. It's been rough.
It has, and none of which I even noted on the broadcast, none of which has really been your making. So tell me this, how do you plan on building on this? Because, we go to Michigan next week, a track that's going to present options as a driver. How do you parlay this now into a run here for the second half of this regular season?
Oh, I want to ride the wave. I'm not real familiar with Michigan, but there's some of the tracks we're looking forward to, the road courses that are coming up here in the next handful of months. Just try to run the momentum.
Well, very, very cool. Your tire strategy, you're able to come out at the last one here. Did you plan that out early in, or did the race just come to you tonight?
I was planning on the first run running as long as I could, and I had to pit because I was out of fuel when I pitted on that first stint, and then found that there were some guys that jumped me, and I got past them, but it took a little bit more time, so I short pitted the second run, just trying to up the field a little more and just manage my pace.
Well, you did a nice job here tonight, Courtney. It was very good to see you up towards the front because you've had pace all season long. You've been one of the faster guys. Just circumstances, as I think I said about a half a dozen times tonight when the broadcast is, Lady Luck has had it out for you. So hopefully you've kicked her to the curb and good things will come to you now.
I'm hoping so. She can go visit somebody else for a while.
All right, man. Anybody you want to give a quick shout out to here before we let you go?
Oh, just the league, you guys, Tom, Josh. The racing tonight was awesome, going 170 laps, green flag. That's just what we do. Victor, Dwayne, this league is awesome. So I'm just thrilled to be part of it.
Well, very good. Well, I wish you the best of luck next week, and I hope you have a good week here, man.
Yep, hope to talk to you guys soon. Have a good night.
That's Courtney Nelson, our second place finisher. And Zach, I think you've caught up with the guy that was out front when it counted, Josh Robinson.
Yeah, Josh, last week, man, we can forget about it now, but you had your heart absolutely ripped out. Tonight, man, you came out here with a mission. You milk those tires like you always do, man. And you showed the boys who was boss tonight. How are we feeling, Josh?
I like these concrete tracks, and I especially like it when we can stay green the whole time, because then I can implement my strategy in my race through the duration. So this kind of couldn't have went better.
Yeah, you know, I mean, so many drivers, Josh, highlight your ability. I mean, Tom really hammered down how well you are at this tire model. And I mean, what is it? You know, I mean, how do you have that discipline? We talked about it a couple times tonight where you're so close. And man, if I'm in that 23 machine, I'm trying to make a move. I want to get that thing out front, but you just let it come to you, man. And it's a talent not many people have. How do you do it?
You just got to be calm. The worst thing you can do is overdrive to make a pass. Sometimes you got to do that. Like last week, Dwayne, Tom, and I were throwing everything at it, so there was no tire left at the end of that race. But tonight, you know, when we're racing early on, especially at a concrete track that just eats the right front, you got to be disciplined. You just got to wait. If you can't make the pass yet, then you can't make the pass. And the worst thing you can do is follow someone really close and not just kind of ride in their wake, because you're going to push even more. And then the other thing you can do is use up too much to try to get by someone. And just it's way easier said than done, because early on in the race I had no intentions of letting Courtney and Dwayne go right there, and they got to run, and I just had to take my medicine.
Well, man, you know, speaking of taking medicine, you know, you weren't fazed by the short pitting really tonight. And as you come up pit road that final time, I don't know about you, but I expected maybe a little bit of a gap between you and Tom. But as you're rolling down the back stretch, you see him just sneak on the outside of you. I mean, how good are you feeling at that point?
Yeah, you know what's great about that is Tom and I have an open mic with each other, and as I was exiting the pits, he was, before I got to the point that he could see where I was going to come out, he was like, I'm hoping I'm having like a 3-4 second lead on you. And then when he see me exit, he's like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So it wasn't so much that I came out right beside him. It was the reaction I got that made me feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, man, I bet, because it just seemed, it doesn't seem like a lot to the guys out there, but other drivers are falling around to the 30.8s, 30.9s almost, and then you've got that thing humming 35, 30.6. I mean, just the consistency we saw out of this 23 tonight was absolutely unbelievable. And Josh, man, it shows why you're the defending champion, and you put the boys on watch here again tonight with a big win. Congratulations. Who you want to thank?
I'd like to thank everyone over at Team Miata with Tom and Brian and Mark Fish and Dan, and Hess wasn't here tonight, but he runs with us on Wednesday nights. Thank those guys, because bouncing ideas off of each other with brake bias and stuff, because that's really all we can change. But also some lines, and then there was some shifting and some not shifting to not, so we had some ideas there. Dan unfortunately had some issues off a pit road, but other than that, it was a pretty good team night. Good job to everyone out in the field. We went 170 laps in 25 plus car field, and we only had 5 total incident points. So that's what we do here at the OBRL. So I'm super happy that happened for the entire field, but I'm not surprised, because that's a normal race for us.
Well, man, it all worked out tonight, but you know the deal. I let you do your thank yous, and I always forget to ask you one more question. You roll into Michigan next week, man. What's the confidence like as we go into Michigan?
I really like Michigan. It's such a fun, wide racetrack for us. This car, hopefully, what we did last year was it started driving a little off the right rear, because you can use that seam down between line 1 and 2. So I hope iRacing kept that nice and tidy for us to reuse. But I love racing Michigan. It's going to be a really good race for the broadcast, because there's 10 plus cars here that can easily win that race next week.
Well, hey, man, back in victory lane where you belong. Second time this season. Congratulations, Josh. Can't wait to talk to you again soon, brother.
Appreciate it, guys. And as always, thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. Looking forward to going back and watching this like I do every week.
Appreciate it, Josh.